Well, it's been a pretty wild day so far for Playday 3 of Oceanic Nationals. We're not done yet, though. We've still got one pretty big matchup to get through. Pittsburgh Knights versus Ferox, which I'm sure is going to, well, I hope, go down to the wire, because from what we've seen so far in Oceanic Nationals, Ferox have looked the good uns, and Pittsburgh have also looked the good uns. So both teams with a bit of form going to go head-to-head.
Could still be a close game, though. I'm tipping that it will be in the end. And I mean, if any of the matches are to go off in terms of form tonight, we've seen, Wildcard and Rhythm, for example, go right down to the wire, and even the likes of Noble and LFO as well. So who knows? We could be in for another OT for sure.
Let's go and have a look at the lineup for Pittsburgh Knights. Of course, a lot of the talk has been around Strider moving away from the team, Sejeon coming into the team, and how good has Sejeon been at least over the first week. We'll see if he can continue that form here into Playday 3. Of course, still covered by Dino, Hayward, Juicy Josh, and Pittsburgh just look the goods right now.
Yeah, and the first week, I think, gave us an indication as to how the Knights will track for this season and how they will cope after losing Strider, being such a prominent member of this roster. It seems like they've adapted quite well. Sage has jumped into that role quite nicely and formed well around this team. I mean, they're coming off the back of 2 wins against Elevate and LFO. So, I mean, they're looking good coming into this one.
Let's go look at their opponents, the rampaging Ferox, who of course are being led by one Greek boy. His name is Oda. He's the fan favorite. He's the best player in the region.
He's the only player on Ferox that we need to watch throughout this entire match, because he is clearly the more superior gamer. But in all seriousness, it has been a pretty well-rounded effort. In the most part for Ferox, they've gone 1-1. And in fact, one of those wins was actually against Okami. It was a 7-3 on Villa, a slightly unexpected result at that many would have thought heading into that matchup. So they're off the back of some form, some confidence, and they'll be looking to carry it into here and maybe pull off what I think will probably be another upset.
Ferox went 5-7 against Noble, who of course still undefeated. They won 7-3 last week's Playday 2 against Okami, which of course has caused for all of this hype around them, especially going into this matchup. As for Pittsburgh Knights, though, undefeated. This is going to be a big test for Ferox. In my eyes, they're still the underdogs here, but they win this, and not only are they primed essentially for the playoffs, which I think they probably already will be, but they are contenders in my eyes then if they can beat Pittsburgh here.
Knights, of course, coming into tonight, first place in the standings. I'm assuming after the Noble match, Noble will be in first, of course, because they've played more matches. But if Knights manage to win this one, and it's a bit of a smashing potentially, then that point difference should elevate them into first once again. So a lot on the line. Seeding is really important when it comes to the playoffs as well. So I'm sure Knights, just like Noble, won't be looking to lift off that accelerator anytime soon.
Looking deeper into the matchup, though, as we head towards map predictions, I guess, here, as we close out the night, we still haven't had Cafe, which would be the first Playday where we won't have Cafe. So that's going to be my guess for Oceanic Nationals. It has been a staple for Six Masters as well. But what's your thoughts, Gus?
Shaping up again to be another interesting veto. The thing is, the Knights, they've only played Cafe, and Ferox, they've only played Villa. So there's a real chance that these teams will just ban out the others insta-pick. So we could see the Knights, for example, ban out Villa, and then Ferox just ban out Cafe, and then who knows where we're going to go, because we don't really have that recent form. I mean,
Clubhouse, just to complete the Holy Trinity.
I mean, it could well be Clubhouse. Another map that we're probably not expecting to see would be Oregon, again, just because the Knights performed so well against Wildcard in the major, took them down 7-3. So Ferox probably won't head there either.
Yeah, well, I guess at the end of the day, I don't think there's a particular map that comes out here where I sort of change my thoughts and who's going to be the more favored team. Cafe is going to be banned out. Could we go back-to-back Oregon as we get closer towards it? We are going to go back to Oregon. I guess when it rains, it pours, Gus.
I am very, very surprised. I mean, Ferox must be cooking up something very impressive for this map. I mean, of course, the added benefit of Knights playing in the major is there's a VOD for Ferox to review. And that said as well, that major took place quite a while ago. So a lot has changed in terms of the meta, rosters, etc. So maybe Knights will be a little bit weakened on that map to what we saw against Wildcard. But I still find it very, very intriguing that Ferox let it slide through.
Yeah, I mean, Ferox banned out Cafe, Theme Park, and Coastline. And for Pittsburgh, Consulate, Villa, and they had the choice, technically, between Clubhouse and Oregon, right? So when you're saying that Ferox is cooking up something here. Obviously, you would think the Knights have got something in the bag too. Otherwise, if they didn't feel confident on Oregon, they would go to a more staple clubhouse, which was, you know, part of the Holy Trinity, I guess. And you know what? Screw the Holy Trinity. Right now, it's just anything can happen. I think it's only Theme Park and Consulate we haven't seen so far now this season. I could be wrong, but Oregon, yeah, why not? As I said, when it rains it pours, we'll go back to Oregon. I guess for us, we'll be quite fresh for it, but for these guys, as you said, hopefully they're cooking up something special.
And the good thing for us and for the viewers at home at that matter is the fact that we can now compare how different teams approach the same map. It'll be fresh in our minds, as you said. So are we going to see the Knights and Ferox do heavy roams like we saw from both Noble and LFO? Are they going to be a bit more totally on side and rely on utility, which again, we did see on occasion from those two teams earlier. So I'm keen to see how those playstyles do sort of compare and interact with one another.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And look, yeah, is basement going to be as strong? Dorms, does that remain 50-50? So many questions. Firstly, have a look at all predictions. See, I didn't say experts anymore. We all apparently favor Pittsburgh Knights, though, in this matchup. So, you know what that means, guys, is that ending play day 3, it will be myself, Raven, Dev, and Manic all tied in first place.
Yeah, not a whole lot really to read into that one. Probably not very reflective of some of the predictors' ability, to be completely honest. I'm sure we'll see the likes of Ducky up there eventually. Actually, not Ducky. Maybe Sky. Sky will probably be up there eventually, I would hope. But yeah, I think Ducky's days are already gone.
I mean, look at his face right there in the picture. He looks like a man who's just gotten a couple of predictions wrong and he's already down the bottom. Look, yeah, I don't think I agree with the sense that everyone has voted for Pittsburgh. I do think that there's a big chance for Ferox in this. Yeah. So I would have thought maybe 1 or 2 would go for Ferox. And look, we were wrong last week, weren't we? And we saw the tweet that came out and of course, what was it? 7 experts versus 1 Greek boy, and that 1 Greek boy was right. We'll see if he will be right once again. We head to Oregon, our final matchup of the night. Pittsburgh Knights versus Ferox.
Second time that Oregon will be making an appearance this evening. The Knights have played this once previously. It was against Wildcard in the major. Ferox, of course, it will be their first official. So we're very excited to see what they have been working on. What will they bring to the table? It might have to be something special to take down the Knights. That said, I honestly found this one of the harder matchups to predict this week. I think there is a real genuine chance that if Ferox come out of the blocks really strong, particularly on the attack, that they could take the map for sure, 100%.
Yeah, I agree. And as I said, that's why I was kind of surprised to see all 7 of us voting for Knights. Not so much that Knights were the favored ones, but just that I did think Ferox would have a couple of favorites. I thought maybe someone like Ducky, for instance, might have gone for Ferox, trying to get back into this thing in terms of the snowball predictions. But Ace going to be banned out, as he kind of has been every 2-3 matches. Not so much as a staple ban. Capitao as well, another ban, has seen himself get banned out a few times tonight. But for Oregon, for me, as I said, I think the likes of basement, dorms, those sites in particular is what I've got my eyes on, and how those are played out, especially when we look at defense for Knights. You just wonder, did they, watch any of that last matchup on Oregon, get some pointers, get some tips? We did see Mirror at one point was used. That's going to be banned out, and Echo as well also banned out here, which don't remember if it was banned in our last match on Oregon or not, but was, it wasn't, it definitely wasn't used.
No real surprise that Echo made it through the ban, was banned rather. I think that's an interesting topic to delve into, because both of these teams do play pretty aggressively, particularly on the attack. Like the Knights, they feel very similar to Wildcard in the sense that leave attacks quite late and then either go for plants or frag out. So maybe that Echo ban is there to facilitate that a little bit more if they want to go for late round plants. It's of course hard to tell as we are waiting to see these executes come through. And on the topic of attack, Todd 6-picking onto Montang off the Ying. Shield play can be incredibly disruptive.
I like that.
So
pushing down like stairs, like laundry, or even through freezer as well with that Montang. That's going to be interesting to see how Knights are going to have to deal with that, right? And the other thing as well, and I'm actually really glad I sort of asked the questions in the interviews was like, was Oregon sort of part of the plan? And both our interviewees both kind of said, yeah, like Oregon was something they'd prepared for and that they were ready to play. You just wonder if that's going to be the case here for Knights and Ferox, for both of them, if they've both got tricks up their sleeves. We didn't see Montang used, but we did see Clash at one point, and it was actually pretty effective blocking those stairs. So we'll see how Todd's going to be able to do this on the attack versus, of course, Clash on the defense. But pushing on through, you would think it's going to have the same similar effect, right? Just being able to, what is tight tunnel corridor sort of sections, just help your attackers push through.
Limited traps available to the Knights to counter the Montang as well. They do have Sage with the Evil Eyes to shoot the Montang down, and Juicy, of course, with those gas canisters. But outside of that, no Legion on the board, no Alla on the board. And that will only strengthen Todd's position, but that doesn't really matter if Hayward can shoot you in the head before you get anywhere near the site. So basically, the entire attack that we started to set up has been faulted, really, already by the Knights. So it's very distressing for Ferox, and it's going to take a lot for them to come back in this round.
I just crossed out my notes of what to talk about for this round because I had about another 2 minutes of just talking about the Monty, but well, that's not going to happen now, is it? Thank you, Todd. Don't worry, Oda will save the day, and that's all that matters for Ferox here. Knights, of course, could start, I guess. I mean, you're always happy when you got that numerical advantage, 5-4. You just wonder, though, for Ferox, how much of the sort of attacking plan was based around that Montang, right? I know he's dead now, but I'll just touch on it last time, is now that he's dead, now what's sort of plan B? Did you have a plan B? What's plan C now? Because now you've just lost Oda as well. 5-3, what a start for Knights.
Hayward is a very, very scary fragger when he's on. So it's important that he is shut down. He finds a third. Please, an ace. Oh, no. Shade shuts them down. Also retraded through the wall immediately. So Knights in this first round are feeling, or at least appearing to be very, very strong. There's an Evil Eye spotting out Nazgul as well. He gets swung by Juicy. 2k for him in the round. And I don't think that round is a true indication by any stretch of Ferox's ability on this objective. The fact that the Monty was taken out straight away just completely ruined their attack. You could make the point that maybe the plan B was lacking, but I still think that a plan B in that situation would have been very, very tough to actually be enough to win the round.
We head over to dorms. I don't think really I'm going to actually say much about that round, though, because Basement was like a 90% win rate for the defense in our last matchup between Noble and LFO. There was only once that it got broken down by the attackers. Once. Now, there were a couple of close encounters. It was that defuse situation, but only once. So we head to dorms, and this is where it can be very much 50-50. And if Ferox are to do well, guys, they need at least probably 2 wins here on dorms throughout the first half.
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair assessment. Team Ferox again persisting with that Montang, so I'm sure Todd will be a little bit more cautious in how he sprints towards the map. I'm assuming he was caught sprinting in that last round, so a little bit frustrating for him, but he'll be able to learn from that, and hopefully it doesn't happen again.
I would have thought that the Montang was actually just a basement pick only, and yet that's not going to be the case. And you wonder then if it's actually just going to be sort of this map-wide pick where we're just going to see Montang every round from Todd, because, as I said, I thought it was going to be basement only.
Yeah, there's a couple of options for the Montang. I mean, you could try and push up white stays, you could try and push through armory, maybe even. We do see some teams put pressure over towards Trophy. On the topic of pressure, that's a good start for Ferox. So now that they have the man advantage and have shut down that aggression, that's a real positive sign for them. They do have Josh still to deal with. Again, we're seeing Rome's below. We saw it from both LFO and Noble earlier this evening, and maybe that's actually where the Monty will shine in really disrupting these players offside.
Yeah, and I think as well with the corridors, there's a lot of that sort of, oh wow, that was really quick. Oda just got dropped. Not sure how that really happens there. It just was Oda peeking, or just Todd not holding the best position to block Oda.
Not too sure. Either way, 4 on 4. 4 on 3 now. Sushi off the board. Oh, that's a good refrag. Oh, it's not a refrag. In fact, it's a double kill for the Knights. Again, Monty's still in play, but with only Shade to capitalize upon this disruption, and on top of the fact that Todd is still stuck in a Banshee, this is going to be a very, very tough round to win. And that said, Shade finds a pick, but surely the Knights don't feed Shade here. They just need to play patiently and wait for the C4. There it is. Just the Monty left. Todd, very, very rough for him at the moment. He's been stuck in this Banshee for so goddamn long, and with a minute to go, I think it's only a matter of time before he's taken down. There's a player down below as well that he'll need to be mindful of. Does hear that player running around. Can Todd find the pick? Oh,
what?
Didn't see him. Oh. GM.
Like the cartwheel of death or something in the end. But do you continue with the Monty though? That's the question that needs to be posed to us. The shield just went flying into space, but
That's savage.
yeah, I mean, is this going to be a common pick? I feel like Ferox could end up just being wasting their attack here, and they're attacking half.
Well, you can see Todd contemplating the pick.
Yeah, there we go.
Jumps on Mav though, so nope, Twitch.
God.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Monty again. We might see it in the next round when we see the Knights likely head back down below, but outside of that, I think it has had its course, run its course. Either way, Kitchen Dining will see its first appearance. Probably one of the sites that offers a little bit more...
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused.
What's
by
the word?
attack.
Flexibility is the word I'm going to use. A bit of flexibility on the defense in the way that you want to set it up. A couple of different mentalities that you can take into defending the site. I mean, we saw some teams, well, Noble, I believe it was, in fact, earlier tonight, really using deployable shields to try and extend their reach in some of the corridors. Doesn't look like we're going to see that from the Knights. That said, they still do have 2 to use. So not sure where those will be placed. We'll find out sooner or later. A little bit more traditional by the looks of things, of heavy emphasis placed on lockers as well. Maybe that's where the shields will be most effective.
Yeah, we only saw Kitchen Dining once in the last matchup between Noble and LFO here.
Attacker's objective is to defuse the bomb.
And at that point, it was LFO defending. Noble were able to successfully win this site on the attack. Might bode well for Ferox. But of course, you got to get the job done, and they're not really like Noble, not just yet. Despite their improvements so far here for Oceanic Nationals, one thing that would be very detrimental for them would be just a complete sweep back down to earth if they get dropped here by Knights, who are very much capable of just sort of dropping teams like 7-1 or 7-2, as we've seen so far in Oceanic Nationals.
Ferox shaping up for a small tower take. Dino contesting that early, but forced really to fall back as Nazgul heads in. Needs to be careful of the wide swing. Shade covering it. Shade needs to try and get this wall open. Nazgul being very, very mindful of the wide swing, but Dino is disciplined enough to fall back, and that wall has been opened. Of course, it doesn't necessarily net the attackers the round. It's a very open objective, and the big window of opportunity for the Knights still to try and deny the plant.
Very defensive setup from Knights for the site, which I don't blame them. Certainly out of the other sites on Oregon, as I said, we only saw this once, so probably not as much information. Hayward's the only one out to the east that's looking for a run out. No? Mine. Didn't even see the wall there. I don't think... Well, he has to vault over if he's going to get that run out. Yeah, there we go.
It's Oda as well. Aw. Can we get some sad faces in the chat for Oda? It feels bad. It feels bad, man.
40 seconds left. I mean, where's this round gone? Sushi finally going to run in
Attackers dropped the diffuser.
and try and get that diffuser down. Seiji the one that stops Sushi. It was a nade thrown from Dino. That was unsuccessful, but the headshot onto Nazgul. Shade at least gets one. That means it's not going to be a flawless round for Knights, but they are in the box seat to have a 3-0 start here on Oregon. And there's not good signs for Ferox
15 seconds.
because, let's be real, we saw it go back and forth between Noble and LFO. The only distinct advantage that was noticeable was basement defense, and that was it. Everything else was pretty 50-50.
It was a good early round there from Ferox. They had control of small tower, got the wall open, but as I alluded to, it was going to be a very difficult plant. Dining is a very open objective, and there's a big window of opportunity for the defenders to swing wide, deny the plan, or use utility, as we saw from the smoke. So Ferox, if they have to attack that again, need to be a little bit more mindful of that. Maybe try and disrupt from another direction as well
Need to locate
to
and
stop
defuse
those
the
players
diffuser.
inside of Kitchen. Feeling so comfortable. With that round out of the way though, we've done the full circle. Knights 3-0, able to head back down to basement. So there's a very strong likelihood it would be a 4-0. And it starts to get a little bit scary for Ferox. I'm not sure exactly what their target would be on an attacking half in Oregon. I would assume ballpark figure 2 rounds, maybe 3. So still very possible, but I don't know. Knights are playing pretty well.
10
Yeah.
seconds left.
And that's the thing, Knights are playing really well. So it makes it very difficult to
5 seconds to insertion.
try and have much of an impact when your opposition is just on song. And it goes back to sort of that last matchup with Noble LFO, and that's why I questioned. It felt to me that Noble just weren't playing at their peak. Whereas in this matchup, for instance, Knights look just switched on. Hayward's fragging out. Everyone else is chipping in and helping out. Whereas you look at Ferox and it's literally just Shade that's been able to find frags at the moment. Everyone else just still 3 donuts and then 1 kill elsewhere, which is for Oda. No surprise. Oda's just basically giving them a chance. He's letting them get a head start, a handicap for Knights, and then we all know Oda's going to come in and break this defense down. He might just do so here, pushing in through downstairs.
Team Ferox as well, pushing through blue. Another choke point that is difficult to deal with, and they're already expending grenades. An ADS charge hasn't been taken care of, and there's likely were my magnets as well. So already, this is going to be a very, very challenging round for Ferox, just off the back of the fact that it's going to be difficult to clear this utility. That said, Oda's still in a prime position maybe to disrupt that, just full send it down the stairs, but again, it's going to be so difficult. Nazgul as well taken off means that the lifeline is off the board, so if Knights play this smart, they can just play into the utility and the round will be theirs, I would think.
Yeah, 4-0 is just not a fun start either for Ferox to try and come back. Even if you bring it back on your own defense, you're going to have to find a couple of attacking rounds. Oda, though, just walks straight into
Attackers
Juicy.
located a bomb.
And even though Ferox had found 1, they lose 2 more for that one. 4-2. Todd's low. Sushi's got the diffuser. Todd just hoping and praying, and the prayer's going to be answered with the nade onto Juicy. It's absolutely imperative that Juicy finds a frag before trying to get that diffuser down. 2 versus 2 certainly is doable. Hayward, though, just on another level right now, holding a very tight angle. Watching in from supply. Just making sure that Sushi's not going to be able to get this down. Todd, very low. Sushi, do they just go for it at this point? 33 seconds left.
Sushi can go in for the plant here, but they need to be mindful of that wide swing from Freezer. So Todd will have to find probably 2 if they quickly go around the corner. And there we go. Josh has already shut it down this round. Go the way of the Knights, I would imagine. There we go. They trade it out. 4 straight for the Knights. Good start for them in that round. They took the Zephyr off the board. Ferox wasting grenades as well on top of that made it very, very tough. I think Ferox did as well did very well just to get it to that point. To get it down to a 2-on-3 where they could try and execute a plan was a very good result considering the conditions they were under. So a slight glimpse of hope. Fortunately for them, they won't have to head back downstairs. They won't have to attack downstairs again. That'll be locked out for the remainder of this half. So they can try and get a win upstairs or maybe back towards kitchen or even meeting. If Knights decide to go there, then they might be able to get some rounds on the board.
And it goes back to what I mentioned in the second round, though. This is where they've got to find their wins, Ferox, because,
Attackers need to locate and
well, it's
defuse
pretty much a given that basement is essentially what you would expect. Defense team to win. The 2 rounds in basement, 2 wins for Knights, and then but they've been able to win kitchen, dining, and dorms, and that's why it's 4-0 right now. Ferox don't find a win here on dorms, then we go back to kitchen dining again, which maybe they get one there just to avoid sort of humiliation. And well, Knights have just been so methodical right now, clean, precise.
10 seconds left.
Any compliment you sort of want to give them, and they thoroughly have deserved it. It's just been rough for Ferox. They're not finding opening frags, they're not really getting onto site, they're losing plays early. I mean, Knights have even had a run-out kill on Oregon. Like, this is just rough. Must-win. I feel like this is a must-win round.
Yep.
Win dorms, maybe they come back to dorms, or kitchen dining is also doable. 4-2 at the half, not impossible from there.
Sushi, nice way to kick things off. Juicy off the board. Not sure where that Maestro was. Either way, though, losing a Maestro first is never great. Means that those evil eyes can't be used late round, and maybe it was just... It's either one, Maestro was trying to rotate and Sushi timed it and shot through the barricade, or the Maestro was trying to spawn peek. Either way, though, bad result for the Knights. And this is really, as you mentioned, a key round for them. If they lose this, Ferox, they get their nose in the door a little bit. They might be able to swing it open a little bit wider if they win the next round after this. So someone needs to step up here still from the Knights to really try and bring this one back.
Josh just taking back that C4. It looks like Knights just going to shuffle things around a bit. I saw Dino rotating through basement. It's going to go to the other side of the map. Minute 40. Ferox in the best placed position to find a round win so far here on Oregon. Oda's still outside. This is certainly an improved round, though. Oda taking a bit of damage outside, brought to almost half health. Josh wants to go all the way, looking for the run out, but it's Shade with the Claymore. That's going to punish Josh. I mean, hard to really know that, but Todd gets Sage on. And while it's not a flawless round, still a much better performance from Ferox here, and they're right back in this now. Big round win. It'll either be dorms or kitchen dining in the next round. Despite Dino's heroics towards the end of this round, Sushi's getting the fuser down. Oh man, don't do me like this. Whoa, it's about to end up on a montage.
He was very close to getting hit to a 1-on-1 as well. Todd was just holding the angle and Dino almost wide swung it. Jeepers. A little bit scary, but I mean, in the end, good round. Important round. Even if the Knights manage to win this next round, the fact that Ferox still at least have something on the board is important. It means that there's at least somewhat of a gap for the Knights to fight towards or fight for. Knights are actually going to re-attempt above. Maybe figuring that the first 2 picks that they lost in the last round were a little bit unlucky, or maybe a byproduct of some over-aggressive play from those defenders.
Yeah, but it's also what we saw from the Noble LFO matchup was we saw repeats on dorms more so than going to kitchen dining. I mean, we only saw kitchen dining once in that matchup, and so far it's the same here. So it's obviously not the most well-liked. Dorms and basement seem to be the 2 favorites, so not a surprise. And look, honestly, I don't even know how Juicy died that early. But probably not going to want to be dying that early on in this round. Set up a bit differently. Expect a bit more of a brazen Ferox, and They should get the job done, make it 5-1, but Dorms is where it's 50-50, and Ferox won that last 50-50. They win it again here, 4-2, looks a bit better. You then start your defense, most likely on basement. You win that, 4-3, all of a sudden, you're not stressing as much.
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Final setup going up now from the Knights. Not too much utility expended inside of Attic. Sometimes we see teams place a deployable shield there, but instead Hayward placing that a bit deeper back in towards kids. Which again, another completely valid strategy. Shade's actually been downed. So that's very, very spicy from Dino. Sushi is waiting a long way back in case Dino goes for the jump out. I'm sure Dino is aware that they're probably holding that, and he just thinks better of it. Probably a smart decision in the end.
Ooh,
And, oh, that's hot. Oh, Oda, pop off.
Oh, go get him, Oda.
Oh, chat's gonna love that. Oh,
Yeah. It's the Oda show on full display. They're just going to clear out Freezer below. Still a lot of time left on this clock, and Shade has been brought back up. So 5-3. Could have been a different story had Shade been actually eliminated, but not the case. And as I said, just the last round was huge so that it could set them up for this round. 4-2, very different sort of scoreline at the half compared to a 6-0 or even a 5-1. Banshee going to be the bane of Todd's existence once again here.
tricky to clear. Necessary to clear though. Todd could get it now. There's a window of opportunity. Oh, he missed it. Come on, Todd. There we go. So that's the Banshee taken out. Still a bit of barbed wire, but again, that will be taken out pretty easily as well. Wall opened. So the pressure now is on the Knights. Especially if Todd can start to get in their face here. It's going to be a tricky one for the Knights to hold on, I feel. Especially being in this 3-on-5. I think someone needs to step up here, get aggressive, try and find a couple of picks back. I thought Sage might have gone for it then, but instead he falls back. And Ferox now just need to be methodical, just be smart about this. And worst comes to worst, just trade it out. Two-man advantage, that should be possible.
Yeah, and this is not like it's basement either, where Ferox would be just sort of converging, or not converging, but funneling in from one direction. And in this case, they can actually converge in from different directions too. And there's just so much pressure on Knights to hold so many different angles. You can see Sage on left side, right side, down below. Like he's literally got 3 different things to actually see. That was so close, getting that player down below. Now, Oda and Shade are both very low, 20 seconds left. Hayward does get Todd as well. This is not impossible for Knights towards the end. If Ferox do come in quite late, getting this diffuser down, Knights can find some frags pretty quickly. Sushi, though, he's able to eliminate Juicy as the kill feed starts to light up. It's only Hayward left in a 1 versus 3, getting tagged up a bunch by Oda, who completes the round with a triple kill to complete the half as well. 4-2, 2 in a row for Ferox to close out the half.
Good half there from Ferox to be able to close that out. It almost felt like the Knights were going to run away with it a little bit there and maybe have a 5-0 or even a 5-1 rather, or even a 6-0 half. So that was great from Ferox to reach that 2-round threshold. It's the benchmark, particularly here on Oregon, which is usually quite defender sided.
Look at that, guys.
So
Dorms.
yeah, I wouldn't say that's too wild.
Well, no, but it is also against the grain. It also means it's the 3rd round in a row that we are going to go to Dorms. And Ferox, of course, will be looking for 3 round wins in a row. I did say at the start of this match that Dorms was going to be the site you really want to be winning if you're going to win the map as a whole. So far, it's 2 to Ferox and 1 to Knights in that regard.
No shield coming out here from the Knights. A little bit more of a traditional lineup. 2 hard breaches. Juicy on the Mav, Dino on the Habana. Probably expecting Juicy on the Mav to head over towards Big Tower.
10 seconds to go.
Help open up that wall. That said, Ferox actually not bringing any
5
denial.
seconds to insertion.
Any wall denial. And I mean, Thatcher's made it through, so you probably don't need that
Attacker's
denial
objective is to
particularly here on
locate a bomb.
Dorms necessarily. So it seems like Ferox are pretty content in allowing Attic to be taken, and I guess maybe even the wall there into games as well. Unless they're going to impact trick it, I don't see how they're going to be able to deny it. So Shade will set up the shotgun holes, and you, of course, can impact onto the fan below, and that will go through to the other side of the wall if they've prepped it properly. And it'll be up to the Knights to be aware of that and try to prevent that from happening.
Such a ballsy play, though, knowing full well that basement's just the more proven site right now, at least not just based off tonight, for what we've seen and being able to secure a round win. And Ferox lose this 5-2 tonight. Hayward with the opening frag onto Todd. Oda just able to stop the ex-Kairos for the time being, but out of impact grenades now. It's down 5-3 as well for Ferox. This is almost sort of the opposite of what we saw in the last round, where it was actually Ferox who were up doing all the work, and now it's Knights who's doing all the work.
Minute 30 in the round. Knights in a great position in the 5-on-3, but there's still a bit of utility to deal with, and they have the time to deal with it. Oh, Oda catches Dino off guard. That's a really nice pick. His position quite powerful as well. Yeah, of course, but his position, of course, quite powerful and has a nice cross. It's gonna be very important that Josh doesn't drop to Oda. Droning ahead is a smart decision, and hopefully this Malusi is spotted out.
Hayward with a double. Very impressive performance from Hayward here on Oregon. Oda with a quick reposition, finds his double kill in the round with a headshot onto Sageon. Looking for a third one. We'll have to reload the SMG, but unfortunately, Juicy will shut Oda down. Shade though, quick headshot onto Juicy. Although the vault will be the untimely demise as Hayward finds yet another kill there for Knights, and they take a 5-2 lead here in Oregon.
Much cleaner there from the Knights. Good final pick as well there from Hayward. Looked a little bit dicey potentially when Oda started to show up, but it was good utility usage and communication in the end that saw the Malusi taken off the board. Let's see upstairs again. Jeez.
Yeah.
4 times in a row. Whew. I feel like I'm an expert on this site now. Gee whiz.
You know all the ins and outs on it, I guess. The players for the same as well, but yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to. I'm more than happy to ask Ferox what their thoughts are, I guess, in terms of going to dorms and not going to basement, which has proven to be very successful for defending teams. I guess the only thing I can think of is in the mind of Ferox is like they probably can't get back into this unless they do win on dorms, like I've been saying. So you may as well go there and win there, and then once you win on dorms, then you head over to basement. Could be the mindset.
I mean, another thing to consider, and this is probably a little bit extreme, and the players probably aren't considering this all that much, is round difference. You should be heading below, securing a round. Even if you're going to lose the map, at least reduce the damage, particularly in this condensed season. I'm not exactly sure how big of an impact the round difference will end up having in terms of how tiebreakers and all that jazz works, but I would have thought that even just heading below and winning a round and gaining a little bit of momentum as well would be a positive. So maybe Ferox have just had the confidence and the insight and the quick analysis maybe to work out what went wrong in that last round so they can adapt, but it is a pretty high risk approach.
The other thing as well is, like, I guess when we look at the last 3 rounds as a whole, Ferox 2-1 on dorms, right? So when you look at it in that perspective, I guess you can kind of understand why they're going dorms again here. But those round wins on dorms were from their attack, right? They're on defense now, so you can't even necessarily apply that win streak, I guess, to this side. This is going to be another similar setup from Dino here with the ex-Kairos, which were denied by the impact grenades in the last round. Didn't prove to be too much of a nuisance, though.
Shade. Good night. I almost thought Shade was going to get away with that, but Dino turned around at the right time, so that was really well played.
Hard to see where this round's going to go for Ferox now, though. Down a player on a site that went very convincingly into the favor of Knights in that last round, and now they're at 5-3. Sushi's eliminated by Sageon. This is just a disaster.
Just not exactly sure where these picks are being found, but it seems like Ferox was playing a little bit recklessly here in the mid-round. Maybe they were trying to bring it back to a 4-on-4 or 3-on-3, and it just isn't quite working out. But yeah, even Oda just completely getting caught off guard. So it's a 5-on-1.
Bomb located
Todd
by
on white
attackers.
stairs, 25 HP. Finds one. Trade it out. Knights round. Match point. Wow, surely we're not going above again.
Well, certainly one for the interviews. Which way, depending on however this ends up. Match point, though, for Knights, and they've just been flawless. They really have been. Besides those 2 rounds, I guess, to close out the first half, they've been impeccable. And yet now we go down to basement, which, I mean, it's not exactly like a free win, right? It's not a guaranteed here's 1 round, move forward. It's still possible, and we've seen that these basement wins have been close at times. And honestly, the way that Knights are playing, I kind of actually backed them in, despite the 90% win rate on the basement site so far tonight on Oregon, between the last matchup and now this one. Just the way that we're seeing Knights play it out, despite Ferox being on the defense. I'm not sure if I can back them in.
I think the key difference really between above and below in the context of this match is the fact that Ferox on the defense shouldn't be under too much early round pressure, or shouldn't feel the need to overstay their welcome or extend too far early in the round. We saw that above. They were giving picks away, and unfortunately we didn't quite get to see them all, but the ones that we did, it just felt like the Knights weren't really given a whole lot to challenge against. They were just kind of just walking in and finding these picks, and Ferox were trying to be a little bit cheeky maybe, but it wasn't paying off. So it doesn't look like they're setting up for Rome here below, and as I said earlier, they shouldn't be in a position to give away these early picks, and that will be to their benefit. The Knights really thriving off that man advantage. If you don't give them that, then they will find it harder.
Well, match point. We kind of hyped this one up as well to be the match of the Playday, and yet we've had some absolutely amazing games prior to this, and this is actually, I'm going to say, it probably been the most one-sided does. Which is a little bit disappointing for Ferox. Yeah, obviously at the moment things can change, but considering the hype around Ferox coming into this week's Playday 3 and Playday 4, really dropped the ball here, albeit against a really strong team in Knights, who essentially will secure playoffs as well off the back of this win.
1-8 for Nazgul. That's quite rough. In a very key position over towards Pillar in this round. If Knights get control of this quickly, Ferox will have a very hard time holding on here. So Nazgul needs to try and find a pick or two, try and waste as much time as possible. Oh, he narrowly misses Hayward there. Hayward as well has been on point tonight, and Nazgul again pushes up, gives away that early pick to the Knights, and I honestly think the Knights will be able to steamroll from here.
I mean, but is there a need to push up the stairs there at that point? Not sure if there really is, other than just wanting to try and put pressure onto Hayward, but Hayward's not going to be the type of guy that will fall back there. I mean, that's nice from Shade. That's probably something Nazgul could have done as well. Sajon, though, pushes on in, does at least get the refrag immediately onto Shade, makes it a 3 versus 3 with a minute to go. And I actually think this is going to favor Knights more than Ferox, because it just opens up what is already like tight spaces, tight corridors. Now there's less players roaming around, less chance of being crossfired.
Still that drone in sight, giving away a lot of intel to the team of Knights on the attack. I think they know where Ferox are positioned, and it's really up to the Knights to just trade this out efficiently. Ferox are playing static, so that intel gathered earlier should still be relevant. And as long as the Knights approach this appropriately, they should be able to take the round. Oh, Ferox almost giving another pick away. That would have been disastrous, but with 25 seconds to go, it is still a 3-on-3.
Yeah, and they already have quite a bit of information as well. They know where one is behind that shield. Although, look at the peek back from Oda. Perfectly timed. We'll get the elimination onto Josh. 13 seconds remaining. It's still a die time now for Ferox. Can Oda lead the way for Ferox back into this? Todd is eliminated by Sejon in a 1 versus 2 now. Sejon can't get it done. Sushi's the one that finds the double in the end. And Ferox do close out the round that they had to win. The round that they should be winning in basement. And it makes it 6-3, and now we head back to dorms, most likely.
The Knights there getting a little bit caught up in that blue bunker position. Maybe if they had
meeting kitchen.
Yeah, maybe if they had their time again, they would have tried to go for a default and bait out the picks, but either way, that round is done. Meeting kitchen, as you mentioned, first time we're seeing this in this matchup.
And tonight on Oregon as a whole, did not see it in the Noble LFO. So maybe Ferox are just thinking, you know what? Let's just move away from the more regular sites and see what Knights have got here and throw a curveball, I guess. And I guess technically, right, this is sort of like the final countdown, the final play. You win this, you would then think we go dorms, then they win that, you go back down to basement. That's probably what feels like the roadmap forward for Ferox to try and achieve OT.
Attackers have discovered the location of the bomb.
Interested to see how Ferox are going to try and set up this. Like, how aggressive are they going to get? I'm assuming with the castle on the board, they might do some sort of extension
10 seconds left
somewhere.
5
That
seconds
said,
to
they
go.
are being used in more traditional locations, just holding down some of these longer
Attackers
angles
are
and
moving to defuse a bomb.
increasing the necessity for soft breach on the side of the attack. No sledge, of course, on the board for the Knights, so if they want to take down these barricades, it will take your likes of the Ash Chargers or Lifeline Chargers, or even the X-Kairos, if required. Outside of that, of course, the Valkyrie on the board can gather some intel as well. The Knights on the attack have been quite strong with their drones and their intel, so some counter intel from the defense. I like to see that. It's just important that they actually play off it effectively.
Still, unfortunately for Ferox, because they've left this a little bit too late, they are going to have to deal with match point from here on out. So no mistakes can be made. And it's not like you can fall back on basement now, because they've just kind of used that, well, I wouldn't say freebie, but it's as close as it can kind of get, especially on Oregon compared to the other sites. Hey, we're just going to check down into Boiler with the drone. Knights may just want to slow things down a bit here.
Still a 5-on-5, so the Knights, from an attacking perspective, are still trying to maybe find a free pick. And in some of the rounds, Ferox have been giving that, but on this occasion, they're not over-peaking anything. Sushi runs the risk of that at Attic, but he's just falling back and playing quite patiently, which is a really positive sign here for Team Ferox. They don't feel the need necessarily to hunt down for this first kill. They're confident in their setup, and I mean, so far it has wasted a lot of time. Still over a minute to go for the Knights to work with, but it hasn't felt like they've done a whole lot to work the side.
There's no need for Oda to peek this, but he's put himself in a very, very aggressive position here over at meeting. Two players looking directly at him, essentially, and if they both peek at the same time, he's not going to get both. Although, never mind. It is Oda, I guess. He could probably just find an ace somewhere in this round and single-handedly get Ferox the win. Certainly part of the wheel bag. It did take a lot of damage there. Now surely forced back. John will get the opening frag onto Nazgul as Hayward just starts to slowly peek in. Have a look at meeting. Obviously, Oda not quite holding that position anymore. Did move back, but fell over towards Dino's position and will be eliminated thusly. Shade's found two. Actually, no, sorry, Shade and Sushi have found one apiece. 10 seconds remaining. 3 versus 2. Juicy's going to get that diffuser down, but a gas canister to deny it. Has to move and find a different location, but they're not going to be able to get it. They both knocked down. Can't Get that diffuser on the ground, buddy, when you're on your back. And Ferox might be on their way back.
Oh, that was such a peculiar decision from the Knights to fall off the plant and decide to rush Todd. I mean, if it had have worked out, we'd be saying how amazing that play was and how smart it was to quickly adapt like that. But the fact that it didn't pay off makes it look a little bit stupider than I think it really was. It was a pretty phenomenal spray from Todd, who I'm fairly certain did down them both. Great work there.
Well, I thought it started off with that gas canister. That was the only reason why that even happened, right? So,
but I'm surprised. Like, they got displaced, sure enough, but I still don't quite understand.
Move a bit to the left or something.
Yeah, I don't understand the thought process behind rushing. I guess they might have been wary of the second defender, weren't 100% sure as to where they were positioned, and felt that it would have been unsafe, or maybe felt that Todd was going to try and rush the planter. So I can definitely understand the thought process for the Knights in that round, in that late round scenario, but it didn't pay off. Fortunately for the Knights, Ferox heading back upstairs, and they are yet to win this site in this map.
Yes, well, on their defense, they obviously have won it twice on their attack. Interesting thing to note here, 4 of the last 6 rounds to Ferox. Of course, it started off as a 4-0 to Knight, so 6-4 now on the scoreboard. When do Knights start to panic a little bit? Because I tell you what, I'm going to say they should be starting to panic now, because I'm just, you know, the clairvoyant that I am, guys. Ferox win this round, or if they win this round, I should say, then I have them definitely winning basement, which sends it to OT. So in essence, this is almost like Knights' last chance. Otherwise, should very well be going to OT. Not a given. That's the disclaimer. But yeah, realistically,
Put an asterisk.
the statistics do say that that is likely.
What do Ferox have in this round? They've struggled early round on this objective, giving away early picks. Good signs so far emitted into the round, and no damage inflicted on anyone in the server. Knights with some nice drones gathering some intel. The rest of the team pushing over towards Attic, and Juicy on the Maverick already getting to work on the wall. No one from Ferox is there to closely contest that. We haven't seen them closely contest it yet. And again, the fact that they haven't won it yet wouldn't really lead me to believe that they're going to play it any more aggressively, as it has been their downfall. Off screen as well, or I mean on screen now. Dino getting to work on the games wall. Nice breach open. That's a nice line of sight deep in towards the objective. And this sort of split attack that is being set up from the Knights could be very, very effective. I'm just not sure how Ferox are going to try and counter it.
Just find kills, just click heads. Send Oda in. Why not? But you're right, obviously Knights have got themselves many different sight lines here, and this is the problem with dorms, because there's just so many ways sort of onto the site that it can be very overwhelming to try and keep everything covered. You know, you got Nazgul he's watching the window. Sushi's kind of watching the rest of kids.
Oh, that's a nice nade. Oh,
That is a nice nade.
didn't do much damage.
And Nazgul had already, I think, taken a bit of damage prior to that too. So yeah, it didn't do as much as I really thought. 39 seconds remaining though in this match point round. Knights still trying to make their way in, and they are finally going to get that entry frag they were looking for. Immediate refrag as well though from Nazgul. Sadron low, finished off now with a quick double from Nazgul. Ferox have got the advantage here. Oh, nice and cheeky little elimination from Dino, but it's just back and forth right now. 20 seconds remaining, and they get another one goes down for Knights, and another one after that though for Ferox. It's just been that sort of round, 1 versus 2. Dino just spotting Shade down to just Todd in a 1 versus 1. Dino can get the diffuser down and should not be stopped by Todd unless it's from below. C4, that's primed, perfectly placed. Todd, what a C4 onto Dino. Sends us down to the basement, 6-5. Oh, what have we got here?
Jeez, I'd still be so surprised if this managed to go into overtime. Knights, they won their first 2 attacks. haven't won one yet. Or one since, rather. Back down to basement. The monkey is finally off the back for Ferox above, and I think that will be a very big relief for them. Good confidence boost heading into basement, which was also the very first defense they won in this second half. So some really nice form heading into this objective. The Knights, though, pressure is starting to build. You can sense it starting to build a little bit.
I can feel it through the monitor right now. It's just oozing out.
Oh, it's strong.
You know what it's like? It's like, kind of like an odor.
Are you in love with Oda? Are you like one of the Oda fanboys in chat? Is that you?
Cannot confirm nor deny, as I'm not allowed to be biased.
True.
But we can all agree.
Are bad.
We can all agree Oda is just a special specimen.
Yeah, I'm not biased, but Oda is definitely the best player in Oceanic.
What I will say, though, is basement was broken down once by an attacking team in our last matchup. Could it happen again here? Knights were pretty close last time out as well. Ferox really make sure that they don't throw this one away just because it's basement. It was certainly a close affair. And actually, I'm going to say it. I feel like almost all of the basement rounds that we've seen tonight on Oregon, both matches, have been actually kind of close. But yet, for whatever reason, the defenders just keep winning it out.
Really just the nature of Oregon, I guess. It is a very tricky map to attack. Current meta as well, being very utility heavy, exacerbates that. That's important that the attacks are efficient in clearing a utility that has been set up, of course. Classic bunker hold here, 3 ADS devices, deployable shield, and a gunner in the hands of Oda. Very tricky to clear this. It looks like, I think 2 of the ADS devices were burnt to his left. No, in fact, none of them have been burnt. Yeah, okay, so the light, I just couldn't quite see it flashing. So Oda currently in a very fortified position. It's going to be a challenge for the Knights to try and clear this. They are persisting, though. They might even peek it. Oh, that's great work. Shield taken down. ADS devices must have been burned, or at least the first one. Actually,
Castle curse.
yeah, I don't know how that didn't get caught, but there you go.
I love that he just kind of locks that off now. It's like, all right, screw that corner. I'm just gonna hide that one away. Minute and a half. Probably they would have hoped to have had that for a little bit longer. 5-4 advantage now tonight. Didn't do them good though last time around. They were attacking this site. Ferox were able to still come back and win it out. They just keep clearing. Still time. Time to get a move on though, just slightly, especially Juicy needs to get involved and start trying to blow torch some of these walls.
Flash is going out now. 55 seconds left. Most importantly, the Knights have the man advantage, and we've seen time and time again, when the Knights have that advantage on their attack, they are able to capitalize and steamroll it a little bit. It's normally around about this time that Ferox drop another member, so it's important that they don't. Oh, there we go. I called it. It's a 5-on-3. Knights surely can now convert this round as they get very, very aggressive. Josh holding the cross. The plant should be following very, very soon.
30 seconds remaining. Dino will get Nazgul, but here comes Oda with a double. Where's the Oda cam? What are we doing? Why are we looking at Dino? Get straight onto that juicy Greek boy. Looking for the 1 versus 3. Over towards backstairs. Can get a second. Oh, never mind. I tried very hard, chat, to hype that one up. But hey, it was always going to be very difficult for Oda. It was still a difficult match for Knights in the end. Ferox certainly did push them to the brink. Not quite to OT though. 7-5 on Oregon. They remain undefeated.
Again, another close matchup this evening, but I think we got the result we were expecting. Solid from the Knights. 3 of their players performing very well in the frag department, and of course still Juicy and Josh, they're the pillars of the support. Again, things to be learnt for Ferox from that match, but not enough points.
So I was just jamming out there. Yeah, definitely things to have learnt there for Ferox, and probably for Knights. They're just happy to get out of Oregon alive and with yet another win, and that can basically secure them playoffs. From what we've done in terms of the mathematics, or at least what Ducky kind of keeps repeating, is that 3 wins gets you playoffs. So there's 3 wins for Knights.
Yep, lock it in. I mean, well, not lock it in just yet, but we are expecting them to make the playoffs now, and rightly so. They've performed well this season. They performed well tonight. Yes, that second half, it started to slip away a little bit, but that was more so just the fact that Oregon is quite defender-sided, and I'm sure will probably remain defender-sided for a little while. It tends to take a while for maps to even out a little bit, and the fact that it's only been played twice now in OCN is, you know, a big window of growth on this map. And Xenox has frozen, so you're stuck with me, I think, unless I have frozen, but I don't think I have frozen, so we're just gonna sit and wait. Welcome to the Gods Show, where we sit and talk. Don't make my cam full screen production like you did to Dev, or I will be very upset. Please don't do it. We are just waiting, unfortunately, for Xenox to come back. The pressure has got to him. I mean, while we're waiting, we can talk a little bit about what the future is for these teams. What do we have on the table? We have Pittsburgh Knights. So, of course, they defeated Ferox tonight. Heading into Friday night with Rob and Raven, of course, they'll be taking on Noble. So that's going to be a very, very interesting match. That's the battle, really, for the top of the table. And then making our way down, they'll take on Wildcard after that as well. So very, very hard road ahead for the Pittsburgh Knights. In terms of Ferox, they'll be taking on Rhythm on Friday night. So maybe they'll be able to secure another win for themselves. And then after that, heading into next week, they take on the likes of Elevate. And then actually they themselves will take on Wildcard. So definite hard stretch ahead as well for Ferox. And again, they're looking still to try and hit that marker of 3 matches, 4 matches, because they've only won a single one thus far. That was against Okami, and then before that, they lost to Noble. So really rough one there for them. Unfortunately, we are still waiting for Xenox. I think he's had internet maintenance issues or something. So the Solo Gun Show will continue. What else can we talk about? We talked about Oda in that last map. Oda played quite well. I know, obviously, fan favorite in chat, and actually genuinely had a pretty big performance there on Oregon. In fact, almost in the last round, giving them a slight sense of hope that they could come back, and just overall having a decent impact on the scoreboard across the entirety of that map. What else can we talk about? We're going to look at the schedule, so let's bring that up, have a look at a recap for today's results. Elevate, of course, took the very first match against Okami. It was a 7-3, a solid performance there from Elevate. Okami left to lick the wounds a little bit. We were expecting them to be a top performer in this season, but the last couple of weeks have been very, very damning for them. That's 2 3-7 losses in a row, so that is quite unfortunate. The second match, of course, this evening was again a pretty wild one. It was Wildcard taking on Rhythm 8-6 over on Coastline. It was a result that we were expecting in the end for Wildcard to take the points, but it was very, very close. The fact that it went to overtime was a real testament to Rhythm's ability to fight it out and give it everything that they had. Third matchup, of course, it was Noble taking on LFO. Another close matchup this evening. Noble, the expected victors on that map, and it was in fact the first time we saw Oregon in the Oceanic Nationals. So it was really exciting to see these Oceanic teams battle it out there. And then, of course, that led into our most recent and final match of the evening, the Pittsburgh Knights taking on Ferox. And the predictions were right. We all voted for the Knights. They got out on top. It was a little bit sketch towards the very end, but they did edge out on top. And that does summarize our results for this afternoon. Of course, we are just waiting for the standings. I think they are in progress, so we'll fill for a little bit longer. Again, looking ahead, maybe at some of these other teams who will be taking, who will be playing again, of course, on Friday night. We can have a quick maybe discussion about those matchups. Okami will be taking on LFO. Big matchup for Okami. Find themselves in a real desperate situation to try and pick up a map, but also for LFO, who are now finding themselves in that relegation battle. Pittsburgh Knights then take on Noble, and as I mentioned earlier, that's the real battle for the top of the table. Whoever wins that will likely be first. Then, of course, Rhythm and Ferox, Wildcard and Elevate. We do have the standings ready after tonight's matches. Let's whip that up and see where everyone sits. Pittsburgh Knights at the very, very top there, 9 points, alongside Noble also on 9 points. So as I said, the winner of that tomorrow will indeed be provisional first in the Oceanic Nationals. Working our way down, Wildcard and Elevate both tied on 6 points. Ferox and Okami paired up on 3. And then the two teams at the moment at risk of the relegations are Rhythm and LFO. Both of those teams desperately will be looking on Friday night to try and win a map. If they don't, it gets really, really rough for them in the back few games. And I wouldn't really want to be in that camp. A lot of pressure building, and hopefully for those guys, they can work really hard and try and elevate their positions on the standings. But that also is a double-edged sword for the teams like Okami and Ferox, who they themselves are on the brink of relegations as well. It's me. I'm all alone. It's the Gun Show. Hello, everyone. It's great to be back. It was great to have everyone tune into the show, of course. Thank you, everyone, for your continued support. We hope you enjoyed the show. It was a very enjoyable afternoon of Siege. A lot of close games. But that wraps it up. That's it here for Playday number 3 in the Oceanic Nationals. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you guys on Friday night for even more great action.
My mind's not mine and it won't forget. But you bring me back from my darkness black. It's the soul in me and the heart I ache for you. It beats for you, it beats again. Oh, you bring me to life. Oh, you bring me to life. Oh, you bring me to life. Safe only, even though we burn from the light I bleed. But she brings